So today I'll be covering, again, once again, the rise of print during the pandemic and what that really meant for the industry. And not only that, but the opportunity that it created around print. And what we really saw during the pandemic was there was a really sharp downturn in print, which, I'm sure everybody, was affected. I mean, we were affected, you guys were affected, really everybody was. Marketing and, that sort of thing really took a hard hit right at the beginning. But then what we saw was as businesses started to realize what they needed to stay profitable, what they needed to stay, afloat really was print. One of the big items was actually print. And you can see within the statistic, 46% of businesses say that COVID-19 prompted them to purchase print materials in one way or another. And I think that's a really big number, especially when you're considering the pandemic and how hard people were hit by it. Not only was it signage to say that, they were open or whatever, but also it generated a lot of rules and regulations that, whether it was state-based or federal-based, that generated this print as well. So that became more necessity, right? It wasn't really a choice for them to print. It was more of a necessity to say, wear your face covering. There's a testing site here. Do not go out this door, go in this other door. Guidance, navigational signage became really big, to guide people, so that way people would stand 6 feet apart. And I think there was a lot of print related to that. Not only that, but sales and promotion started to ramp up as well, because businesses started to really figure out that the only way to communicate with the customers was through print, whether it be large signage on the outside of the store to tell people that they were still open, to tell people that they could order online, maybe pick up, maybe get deliveries, right? But also print that was directed to their houses. So direct mail became super big. Hitting people with postcards within their home, because everybody was really trapped within their home. And it kind of even continues today, where some will go through waves of people staying at home and then people going out, people staying at home and going out. So businesses really need effective ways to communicate their products, their services, their deals, their sales, their, whatever they want to communicate. And print is the major way that they're doing it. Also, contactless delivery and pickup, that's one of the items I mentioned, along with direct mail. That has become a big part of this new normal, you can say, where people, I see it at McDonald's, I see it at Target. They've dedicated, a large portion of the parking lot now to, pick up orders, to contactless delivery, contactless pickup, dropping off items. Even it's just become a new sense of the world. So let's see some of the items that have become essential during the pandemic and even afterwards, and why have they become essential. Print elevates products. So not only is it a way, and businesses kind of already knew this, right, where you would have to have some sort of label to identify your packaging, whatever it might be, but the type of label or the type of print around that packaging, around that service, has really become essential, an essential way to elevate their product, an essential way to elevate the total service that they provide. And that goes for whether it be a product or whether it be some sort of service that they provide as well. They want to be able to say, hey, this is my identity. And the best way to do that is through print, through the touch and feel of that, brochure, of that label, of that product packaging, whatever it might be, of that, takeout menu. The better, higher quality that print is that they can get into the hands of consumers, the stickier that connection gets with that business or with that service. Not only that, but print has become an effective way to communicate beyond delivery. So businesses have really figured out that now that they've been printing and they've done these things to, you know, kind of offset the lack of communication that the pandemic created, now they're figuring out that, well, this is essential for us for now and in the future, right? The stickers on the bags, especially, you know, that has become a security seal of sorts, where it identifies that no one else has touched that bag other than the restaurant or the grocery store or whatever it might be. That label is now a security seal, and for the foreseeable future, businesses who do, you know, drop-offs and pickup services at their stores are going to be using that, because it makes consumers feel more comfortable. It makes consumers feel safer with all the products and services that they're providing. And it all goes down to, you know, once again, that businesses have really identified that print really is a big part of, you know, the pandemic, during the pandemic, and future marketing plans, because they've seen that it works. The connection that it makes with the consumer is so much better than it was before now. They realize that direct mail is not really something that they can kind of do. They know now it's essential, because they're not sure about when the next pandemic wave is going to hit, when the next variant is going to hit. They don't want to get caught off guard. So direct mail has become very, very essential. EDDM, another one, very essential. Labels on bags, brochures, magnets, you know, is another one that it has become very essential to be able to remind people where they have the service, where they got the service, where they will call in again. QR codes have become really big, and I'll talk about QR codes as well in the next section. But there's so many different print items and variations, not only in the signage portion of things, but also in general marketing print, that really needs to be elevated in this new normal. So that way that business can communicate to consumers that they're here to stay. We want to make you feel safe. We want to make you feel comfortable. It's all part of that whole communication. Since they're not walking in the store, they just need that extra level of communication with the consumer. All right, so let's take a look at some key product opportunities that we have, especially based around the pandemic. All right, so the first one I want to talk about is order pickup and delivery. And kind of like I mentioned before, order pickup and delivery has really become a standard now, and some people even prefer it. So businesses, whether it be a restaurant, a grocery store, a retail outlet, whoever they may be, they've realized this and want to make it part of their business now. They created apps for themselves. Like I mentioned before, they set aside parking spots in parking lots, you know, sometimes very large parking areas, to be able to pick up for consumers to come and pick up their items. And all with that comes a whole new wave of different types of printing that really didn't exist before. One of them is the bag labels for to-go orders. Again, that has become a very big market for security sealing, making sure that that bag was sealed by the restaurant to make consumers feel comfortable that nobody else has touched it. Only somebody at that restaurant, at that grocery store, at that retail outlet has touched that bag. Not only is it used for branding, but it communicates a sense of comfort for the consumer. And I think that's the opportunity for you guys to go out and tell businesses, hey, if you're not doing this already and you have these pickup and delivery services, that's another touch point for your customer, right? So make sure you inform your customers about that. Another one is sidewalk signs. That's something that really didn't exist too much, but now you see it everywhere. And I'm showing an example of a sidewalk sign for a pickup zone, right here, which says a curbside pickup, call when you arrive. But you see these in all different types of forms. This one in particular is a sidewalk sign, but you'll see them as aluminum signs, as a normal parking sign, a permanent parking sign, heavyweight aluminum sign that's kind of mounted on a pole, or you see them as coroplast yard signs where they're kind of in front of the parking lot guiding customers into the right spots. So there's a couple different variations of that type of sign for pickup zones and everything, but that's another new normal. That's something that for the foreseeable future consumers have adopted, and they actually sometimes even prefer to do that rather than going into the store. They already know what they're going to purchase. They just go online, they go into their car, purchase everything, and then pick up instead of going into the store. So they might even prefer that. Brochures, brochures is really a standard for all marketing purposes, but we've seen a resurgence or a really rise of brochures because people are dropping them in the bags that they're giving to consumers, for their orders, to fulfill their orders. Try just a regular trifold brochure that kind of reminds the customer once they get home, hey, here's a reminder of our services, here's something new for you, make sure to take a look, and here's our brand and phone number. That way you can come to us again. That extra reminder, because since they're not going to be in their store, they're not going to be having that experience where they're going to be walking around for 20, 30 minutes. They want to communicate that experience at home for their customers. And then finally, the last one I put here is tote bags. Tote bags is another one that, when grocery stores implemented tote bags, we did see a big rise in those type of orders, but that has kind of fallen off, and the pandemic has brought it back. Now that, again, with order delivery and order pickup, branded tote bags are, more important than ever, because it does create that extra communication, that extra sense of elevated service for the customer, where they're not just giving them a plastic bag or a paper bag, they're giving them a tote bag, of something that they can use for the future, something that is going to remind them of the brand consistently, over and over and over again. Here you'll see I put in the profit potential for a specific sidewalk sign, and that is a signacade with coroplast on both sides of the sidewalk sign. And you'll see our base cost is $120. MSRP, the national average that we've seen, for our customers is $313 with 55 cents. So the profit potential around this sidewalk sign is really great. And then going a step beyond that, if that restaurant or grocery store or retail outlet wants to reprint it, it's really inexpensive to switch out the coroplast inserts that go into the sidewalk sign. That sidewalk sign now becomes a fixture of that establishment, of that business, and they're just going to come and reprint them every season. Maybe they change them for the holidays, maybe they change them because they added extra parking spots, so they need a new number, whatever it might be. These sidewalk signs are really, really great, not only for order pickup and delivery, but even just to put outside of their shop and keep up with the seasons or keep up with specials and all that. All right. Finally, next one that I'll talk about is events and gatherings. And now you might be saying, well, that's weird, like we're seeing a resurgence in the COVID variant. Many of these things are getting canceled, but we've seen that the ones that are happening are actually, being well attended. I was just at a show called PPAI. It's a big promotional product show, and I didn't really know what to expect because I wasn't sure if people were going to go to this event, if people were going to go to this trade show, what the audience was going to be, what the attendance was going to be like. And we were all very pleasantly surprised that many business owners showed up, way more than expected, and everybody was happy that we were there. They were happy and appreciated that we wanted to talk business, that we wanted to help them, that we wanted to overcome really the pandemic and be present for them. And I think that's something with a lot of events and trade shows that is happening, where people do want to get back to seeing each other. They're sick of it. So the events and gatherings that are being held are more important than ever. Now, you still have to be safe, and you still have to be careful on everything. And that's where the print comes in, where people will print branded masks for safety and also to market themselves. They're wearing that mask everywhere they go, whether it be around the trade show or even after the trade show. Maybe they might like it enough where they continue to use it beyond the trade show or gathering or concert or private event or whatever it was. And now you've given them a marketing tool. You've extended that brand beyond that specific event. Not only that, but tabletop retractable signs. And if you don't know what those are, we have them on our website. They are just a retractable sign, but small enough to put on top of a tabletop. And those have become really popular to display QR codes. And that's another thing that saw a huge resurgence during the pandemic, where since restaurants couldn't pass out a menu or pass out a flyer, they wanted to communicate the menu in some sort of way. So QR codes is a really effective way to do menus, to do information, to get to a website, give them more info about a product, whatever it might be. QR codes are a way to get on somebody's phone, personal device, and be there, so that way they can check it later even. And I think the tabletop retractables are a really great way because they're super small, portable, pretty inexpensive considering their effectiveness. And I think that's one big opportunity that you guys should communicate to customers if they're not taking advantage of it already. Aluminum signs, kind of talked about this during the previous slide, but aluminum signs for permanent notification. So this really goes more towards the government market rather than a trade show or temporary event. But anywhere, any business that really has made, taken steps to secure themselves, to communicate their business and safe practices, are probably going to be using aluminum signs. Probably, again, government more than anything, but aluminum signage, really big opportunity. And we have a lot of different choices as far as aluminum signage and a lot of different options around that, because you could do contour cutting, you could do different drill holes within the aluminum signs, you could do standoffs. So there's a lot of nice options around aluminum signage where it can fit various different solutions or types of events. And then finally, floor graphics. I think you guys have probably noticed this too, but floor graphics are now everywhere. And not only to tell people to stay 6 feet apart or whatever it might be, but really as navigation signage to guide people as to, hey, this is an exit, stay, in this lane, or just general marketing. On the outside of shops, I've seen it a lot more as well, kind of on the concrete or brick. And we have a lot of nice floor graphic solutions, whether it be on indoors or outdoors, to be able to help you, capitalize on those opportunities. I think the one I would point out the most is the aluminum floor graphic that we have. That is really great for a lot of different applications, especially on floors where the surface is not even or smooth. Maybe you have a brick surface, maybe you have a concrete surface, whatever it might be. That aluminum floor graphic will adhere to all the cracks and grooves really nicely. And it's also integrated with glass beads in the material itself. So it makes it rated for non-slip, which is really important to businesses, that way they can protect themselves as well. Also, aluminum floor graphics works well. I've seen a lot of customers use it on the wall. It is a floor graphic solution, but a lot of businesses have used it for the walls that they have around their business because, again, since it adheres to all the cracks and grooves, especially on if you have like a brick building, you can use it there and it'll work really, really nicely, to kind of decorate a building, in a way. Here in the profit potential, I did put a heavyweight aluminum sign because I do think it's important, especially for government angles, state, local, federal level. There's a lot of applications that this can be used for, and they're relatively inexpensive. A heavyweight aluminum sign with rounded corners from us will cost $22.76. Base MSRP, again, national average. Your MSRP could go up or down, depending on who you're selling it to. Usually up. The trend is usually upwards. 59.40. So your profit off of just one sign is going to be 36.64. And the design, the setup is not that bad. It's, typical kind of more static text, some icons, and that's it. So the setup is relatively easy. The design is relatively easy to get, and the profit potential is pretty good. All right. Okay, so I know we covered a bunch of stuff here.